Hello, today's book is called Swamp Monsters by Mary Blount Christian, pictures by Mark Brown. So here we go. Sorry for the sniffles, I have allergies. Swamp Monsters. For Jennifer Michelle Easter, Atha and Regina, okay. Crag pulled the tadpole by the tail. It swam away behind some weeds. Stop teasing the tadpoles, Mrs. Swamp Monster said, and come eat your lunch. Crag made a face. Snail stew, kelp salad, he whined. Why can't we eat good things? Yeah, Finny said, like ice cream or pizza. He gave Spot a piece of snail. Spot gobbled it up. Don't feed the gator at the table, Mrs. Monster said. It teaches him bad manners. You know we swamp monsters don't eat ice cream and pizza. Those are people foods, like in the books we read. Crag pulled Spot's tail. The gator let out a gronk. That's it, Mrs. Monster said. Sometimes you both act as bad as children. Go and play, she said. Let's play children, Crag said. Okay, Finny said. That's a good game, but we have to dress up first. They dug through their toy boxes. They found hats and rubber boots to wear. They found the people masks they wore last Halloween. They crawled out into the swamp. Roar, Crag said. I'm a child. I'm going to catch you. Shh, Finny said. I hear noises over there. They peeked through the bushes. What are those? Crag said. Don't touch that, Herbie, the tall one yelled. That's poison ivy. Is that a people? Crag asked. She looks like the big one in her storybook. Finny agreed, but I didn't think they were real. Cindy, get back in line. You'll get lost. Jason, don't put rocks in your ears, the tall one yelled. See, there's Jason putting rocks in his ears. And that one sticking out her tongue. Bratty little children. The tall one talked to herself. Oh, why did I take Mrs. Smith's class today? I hope she's well soon. Children, she called, get in line. It's time to go. Did you hear that? Crag asked Finny. She called the short ones children, Finny nodded. I would like to see one real close, he said. They moved closer. Suddenly, the tall one grabbed them. You heard me, she said. Get in line right now. March. Miss Mumfree, a girl whined. Tommy put a bug in my hair. Which one is Tommy? The tall one asked. She hit me, a boy said. Miss Mumfree pulled them apart. But Mrs. Smith lets us play like this, the boy said. Well, Mrs. Smith is sick. You must be extra good for me. Listen, Crag said. She's not their real teacher, and she thinks we are with them. Let's go with them, Finny said. We can see if the books are true. There they go getting on the bus. Miss Mumfree marched them to a big yellow bus. Crag and Finny got on the bus, too. The door shut. The bus bumped and rumbled down the road. Soon the swamp was out of sight. The bus stopped. Everyone out, Miss Mumfree said. The children punched and pushed on the way out. Crag and Finny stumbled out, too. Take off your coats, Miss Mumfree said. Look, Finny said. The children took off their skins. They hung them up. You too, Miss Mumfree told them. She pulled and tugged at them. Your zippers must be stuck, she said. Children sat at their desks. Take your seats, Miss Mumfree told Crag and Finny. Crag asked Finny, where should we take them? I don't know, said Finny, but we don't want to make her mad. They picked up their chairs and carried them toward the door. The children laughed. I like the new kids, Tommy said. Stop that, Miss Mumfree said. You would not do this to Mrs. Smith. She hit the desk with a ruler. Sit down in the seats, she said. It's time for our TV art lesson. You there, she told Crag. Put on the TV. Crag saw the box in the corner. It was like the one in his storybook, but he did not know how to put it on. He didn't want her mad at him, though. He thought it might fit on his head, so that's where he put it. Stop that, Miss Mumfree yelled. The new kids are neat, Marshall said. Miss Mumphrey put the TV on the table. She turned the knob. A picture came on. Today we will finger paint, it said. Miss Mumphrey smiled. Yes, we will finger paint, she said. The children got paints and paper. Craig and Finny found some too. The children swished paint on the paper. That looks like paper painting to me, Craig said, but Miss Mumphrey said to finger paint. We don't want to make her mad, Finny said. Darn it. They painted their fingers. It felt good. They took off their boots and painted their toes. The children giggled. They all painted their fingers and toes, too. Miss Mumphrey held her head. Why me? She moaned. It's lunchtime. Come here if you need lunch money. Craig and Finny didn't have anything like that. They went to her desk. Miss Mumphrey put a quarter, a dime, and a nickel into Craig's hand. But I wanted ice cream, he told Finny. Don't make her mad, Finny said. So Craig popped the money into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Miss Mumphrey gasped. Craig swallowed. The money clinked into his tummy. Never do I want another day like this, Miss Mumphrey said. She gave Craig more money. Don't eat this, she said. This is for the lunchroom. The lunchroom was not to eat either. That was where they lined up to push and shove each other. Oh boy, Marshall said. Noodles and ice cream. Craig and Finny were glad they could eat their storybook foods. Craig looked at the noodles. They look like worms, he said. The ice cream looks like snow, Finny said. Maybe it tastes better than it looks, Craig said. Take your seats, Miss Mumphrey said. I mean, sit down, she said. Craig chased his noodles all around his plate. They wiggled away. He stabbed some with his fork. He got them almost to his mouth. They flopped back to the plate. Finny tried to eat the ice cream. It dripped all over him. It felt sticky and cold. I wish I had snail stew, Finny said. After that, they went outside. Now go play, Miss Mumphrey said. Look, Craig said. Those children hit that big white berry with a stick, and those are swinging from a metal tree. Then they saw it. It is like the swamp, Craig said. They both jumped into the fountain. They splashed lovely wet water on themselves. The other children jumped in too. Eek! Miss Mumphrey yelled. You act like monsters. She wagged her finger at them. The principal will straighten you out. That would hurt, Craig said. I like being round, Finny agreed. They got out of the water. Miss Mumphrey dried them off. They went inside. It's story time, she said. Put your heads on your desks. Craig and Finny were glad that she didn't really mean it. She only wanted them to rest their heads on the desks. She sure talks funny, Craig said. Far, far away in a warm, wet swamp, Miss Mumphrey read, live some monsters. Craig peeked at Finny. He looked sad, too. They ate snails and fish and turtle eggs, she read. Craig's tummy rumbled. How he wished for some good snail stew. Zzz, Miss Mumphrey said. She was asleep. Psst, said Finny. I want to go home. Me too, Craig said. The two swamp monsters tiptoed from the room. They ran and ran, and they didn't stop until they were home. I'm glad we saw children, Finny said, and tried noodles and ice cream. But I'm glad to be home, Craig said. I like swamp life better, Finny agreed. Miss Monster was baking mud pie for dessert. If we are real good, do we get mud pie? Craig asked. Miss Monster hugged them both. I don't see why not, and if you are extra good, I'll read a story, too. Yeah, Craig said, a scary one about children. Finny agreed. The end.